Hello, and welcome. Come, find a comfortable place, somewhere soft, somewhere warm, perhaps a favorite chair by a window where the moonlight touches the glass, or buried deep beneath a heavy blanket where the world outside cannot trouble you. Take a moment to breathe. Inhale the safety of your surroundings. Exhale the tension of the day. Close your eyes if you wish, or simply let your gaze soften, losing focus on the edges of the room. Here, in this space we have created together, you are safe. The shadows in the corner of your room are just shadows. The creak of the floorboards is just the house settling against the cooling air of the night. But where we are going tonight, the shadows have teeth, and the silence is not empty. It is waiting. Tonight, we begin a journey into the mind of the ultimate predator. We are not speaking of dragons who rule with fire and claw, nor of demons who seek only destruction. We are descending into the dark, damp caverns of the Underdark to study a creature of absolute, unyielding obsession. A creature that dreams reality into twisted shapes. A creature that believes, with every fiber of its alien anatomy, that it is the apex of perfection, and that you, simply by existing, are a flaw that must be corrected. We are speaking, of course, of the beholder. To understand the beholder, we cannot simply look at a stat block or read a description in a manual. We must understand the experience of it. We must walk the tunnels. We must feel the air change. Imagine, if you will, that you are walking through the deep earth. You are miles beneath the surface, in the realm known as the Underdark. The air here is different. It is heavy, thick with the moisture of ancient aquifers, and the metallic tang of minerals that have never seen the sun. It is cold, a damp chill that seeps through your armor and settles into your bones. The only light comes from the faint, bioluminescent pulse of purple lichen, clinging to the stalactites high above, casting long, shivering shadows that seem to dance in your peripheral vision. You are a seasoned adventurer in this dream. You are powerful. You carry weapons forged of star metal, wands capable of leveling city blocks, and armor enchanted by the greatest smiths of the dwarven citadels. You feel prepared, you feel strong. And then the sound begins. It is not a footstep. There is no rhythmic thud of leather against stone. It is a hum, a low, resonant vibration that you feel in your teeth before you hear it, with your ears. It sounds like a large insect buzzing just out of sight, or perhaps the sound of a heavy stone dragging across a velvet cloth. It is the sound of levitation. It is the sound of a creature that has conquered gravity itself, refusing to let its flesh touch the impure earth. You stop. You raise your torch, the flames sputtering in the thick air. The hum grows louder, deeper. It resonates in your chest cavity. And then, quite suddenly, the world breaks. This is the first true horror of the beholder, the gaze. If you are a wizard, or a cleric, or anyone who touches the weave of magic, you feel it instantly. It is violent in its silence. One moment the air around you is alive with the ambient hum of magical energy. The protective wards on your skin, the enchantment on your sword, the potential energy of a fireball waiting in your mind. And in the next second, pop! Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. It feels as though you have been plunged into ice water. Your magical light flickers and dies, not because the fuel is gone, but because the magic sustaining it has been strangled. Your enchanted sword becomes just a heavy bar of steel. Your levitation spells fail, dropping you to the hard stone. The connection you feel to your god, or to the arcane ley lines of the world, is severed. It is a feeling of profound violation. You are naked, stripped of the supernatural might that makes you a hero. You have stepped into the anti-magic cone. The beholder's central eye has opened. In the darkness, lit only by the mundane spark of flint or the dim glow of dying fungi, you see it. It floats at the center of the tunnel, filling the space with its bulk. It is a sphere of flesh, vast and grotesque, wider than a cart, suspended perfectly still in the air. Its skin is not smooth like a balloon, but textured, craggy and hard. It looks like armored stone, or perhaps the carapace of a massive insect, covered in plates of chitin that scrape against the tunnel walls as it drifts. And there, in the center of this floating mass, is the eye, the single central eye. It is enormous, easily the size of a shield. It does not blink. It stares with a wet, milky intensity that seems to bore through your physical form and into your very soul. This is the source of the anti-magic. This is the lidless gaze that denies reality the right to be magical. As long as that eye is open, as long as that eye is open, as long as it is looking at you, you are mundane, you are small. But it is not just the central eye. As your vision adjusts to the gloom, you see the crown. Writhing above the central sphere are the stalks, 10 of them. They move with a horrifying, serpentine grace, twisting and coiling independently of one another. They look like cobras preparing to strike, or like sea anemones drifting in a current of invisible water. At the tip of each stalk is a smaller eye. These eyes are not looking at you with the blank negation of the central orb. They are twitching, scanning, focusing. They are manic, while the central eye is the anchor of calm, suppressing reality. The eye stalks are the agents of chaos. They glow with faint, crackling energies. Deep crimsons, sickly greens, necrotic greys. They are readying death. You realize in this frozen moment that the creature is not just looking at you. It is analyzing you, and it is judging you. To a beholder, you are not a person. You are not a threat, really. You are an error. You are a variable that has introduced itself into the perfect equation of the beholder's existence. This creature, this Eye Tyrant, believes itself to be the center of the universe, not in a metaphorical sense, like a vain king, but in a literal, metaphysical sense. In its mind, it is the only true thing that exists. Everything else, the rocks, the air, the other monsters, and certainly you, are merely shadows, hallucinations, or potential threats crafted by a jealous universe to test its supremacy. The fear you feel standing before a beholder is not just the fear of being eaten, though they are omnivorous and gluttonous. It is the fear of being unmade. It is the fear of facing an intellect that is alien, ancient, and profoundly paranoid. Beholders are often called aberrations in the texts of sages and monster hunters. This is a specific classification. It means they do not belong here. They are not of the natural world. They did not evolve from the beasts of the field, nor were they forged by the gods of the astral sea. They are intruders. They are leaks from a reality known as the Far Realm, a place of madness where geometry and logic dissolve. When you look into the eyes of a beholder, You are looking into a window to that far realm. You are seeing a logic that does not compute with human, elven, or dwarven minds. As we embark on this 12-part exploration, we are going to dissect this creature. We will peel back the chitinous layers of its skin to see the biology that allows a sphere to float. We will look into the womb beneath its tongue, where it dreams its children into existence. We will map the labyrinthine neural pathways that create its supreme paranoia. We will study the variations, the death tyrants, the hive mothers, the strange and pitiable spectators. We will learn why they build their lairs vertically, defying the gravity that binds us lesser beings. We will learn of their wars, fought in the silence of deep space aboard ships made of living stone, and we will learn of the Great Mother. And we will learn of the Great Mother, the cosmic horror from which they all descend. Ani? But for now, stay in this moment. Stay in the tunnel. Feel the weight of the silence. The beholder drifts closer. The hum vibrates in your chest. You can smell it now. A sharp, acrid scent, like ozone from a lightning strike mixed with the musk of reptile skin and old stagnant dust. It is the smell of ancient power. The eye stalks twitch. One levels at you, glowing with a bright emerald light. The central eye blinks just for a fraction of a second, and in that brief window magic rushes back into the world, only to be crushed again as the eye snaps open. As the eye snaps open, this is the creature we face. This is the Lord of the Dark. The eye that never sleeps. In the next section, we are going to move past the fear and into the facts. We will approach the creature not as victims, but as scholars. We will examine the anatomy of perfection. How does it eat? How does it sleep? What strange organs pulse within that spherical body to generate the anti-magic field? So, take a deep breath. Let the image of the glowing eyes fade for a moment. You are safe here. You are the observer, not the observed. Let us step away from the immediate danger of the encounter. Let us retreat to the safety of the laboratory of the mind. Imagine a space that is clean, quiet, and well lit. Here, the shadows cannot hide anything. Here, the shadows cannot hide anything. We can look at the monster not as a predator that hunts us, but as a specimen to be understood. To truly grasp the horror of the beholder, we must look past the magic and into the biology. We must understand the meat and the bone, or rather the lack thereof, because when you strip away the fear, what remains is a biological machine designed for one singular purpose: absolute dominance. Visualizing the creature on our examination table, the first thing you notice is the sheer alien nature of its skin. In the stories told around tavern fires, beholders are often described simply as floating orbs of flesh. But flesh is too soft a word. It implies warmth. It implies vulnerability. The hide of a beholder is something far more ancient and durable. Run your hand, in your mind, along the surface of the creature. It is not smooth. It is tough, leathery, and textured like chitin. It feels like touching a shark's skin or a hardened callus that has been exposed to the elements for centuries. This hide is thick, often strengthened by interlocking bony plates or stony growths that lie just beneath the surface. This is why, when a beholder drifts too close to a cavern wall, you hear that sound, hum, the sound of its skin scraping raw against the stone. It is a sound of hardness meeting hardness. The color of this hide tells a story of its own. No two beholders are exactly alike. They are born of chaos, and their physical forms reflect the madness of their creation. Some are a deep, bruising purple, mottled with veins of black. Others are a sickly pale green, reminiscent of the mold that slicks the tunnels they call home. Some possess a carapace that looks like plated armor, the color of rusted iron or polished bronze, cold and rigid to the touch. This variety is not just cosmetic. It is a badge of their individuality, a physical manifestation of their belief that they are the unique, perfect center of the universe. But how does such a heavy armored thing stay aloft? This is one of the most fascinating aspects of beholder anatomy. They are not flying in the way a bird flies, beating wings against the air. They are not floating like a balloon filled with gas. They are levitating. Deep within the center of the beholder's body, buried beneath layers of muscle and protected by the skull-like plating of its core, lies a specialized organ, sometimes referred to in arcane texts as the diaphanous bladder or the levitation sphere. This organ generates a constant low-level field of magical buoyancy. It is as natural to them as your lungs are to you. They do not cast levitation. They simply are buoyant. Ow. This is why they never touch the ground, even in sleep. If you can call the manic lucid dreaming of a beholder sleep, they hover. To touch the earth is considered an indignity, a debasement of their perfect form. They spend their entire lives suspended, drifting through the three-dimensional space of their lairs, untethered by the gravity that chains the rest of us to the mud. This levitation produces a byproduct, a sensory warning sign that experienced dungeoneers learn to dread: the hum. It is a soft, resonant vibration. It lies just at the edge of hearing, a low thrumming sound like a distant generator, or the purring of a massive predatory cat. When a beholder moves, it glides effortlessly, undisturbed by the terrain. But that hum follows it. It is the sound of reality, complaining as the beholder forces its will upon the laws of physics. Now, let us look at the face, or rather, the collection of faces. The central eye is the most prominent feature, a great orb of glistening tissue that dominates the front of the sphere. It is wet, vast, and unblinking. Anatomically, this eye is a marvel. It is shielded by a transparent, durable membrane that can withstand the debris of battle. It does not dry out. It does not need to blink to cleanse itself. It just stares. The magic of the central eye, the anti-magic cone, is projected through the lens itself. It is not a spell. It is a biological emission, a form of radiation that suppresses the weave of magic. When you look into that eye, you are seeing a biological dampener, a void where magical energy cannot sustain itself. Well, but the true versatility of the beholder lies in the crown, the 10 eye stalks that writhe and wave around the body. These are not merely tentacles, they are muscular, flexible limbs, capable of incredible precision. They move with a life of their own, twisting like snakes, scanning every shadow, every angle. There is no behind a beholder. There is no blind spot. Their vision is omnidirectional. While the central eye focuses on the threat ahead, the stalks are watching the ceiling, the floor, the tunnels behind, and the very air around them. Each stalk ends in a smaller eye, a lens for destruction. These eyes are often different colors: red, blue, violet, green, crackling with the specific energy they unleash. The anatomy here is terrifyingly efficient. The stalk can extend, retract, and swivel with lightning speed. The skin of the stalks is often described as slick or mucus-coated, allowing them to slide past one another without friction as they weave complex patterns in the air. Inside the beholder, the biology is just as alien. Ajihao. If you were to cut one open, a difficult task given their hide and their ferocity, you would find a digestive system that rivals a furnace. Beholders are gluttonous. They are driven by a high metabolism required to fuel their immense magical energies. Their mouths, filled with rows of sharp serrated teeth, are capable of tearing through armor and bone. They do not chew much. They swallow chunks of their prey whole. Their stomachs are potent fats of acid, capable of dissolving organic matter, metal, and stone. This is why you rarely find bodies in a beholder's lair. Only bones, and sometimes not even that. They consume their enemies. It is a final act of dominance. To eat a rival is to prove, biologically, that you are superior to them. But perhaps the most disturbing anatomical feature is one that is rarely seen. Deep in the gullet, often located beneath the massive muscular tongue, lies a cavity in some anatomical treatises. This is referred to as the womb. Though it functions unlike any reproductive organ in the natural world, beholders are genderless. They do not mate. They do not require a partner to create life. Instead, their biology is inextricably linked to their psychology. When a beholder's mind fractures, when its paranoia reaches a critical mass, or when it grows bloated on a feast of magical energy and meat, it begins to dream. And it is from this cavity, this womb beneath the tongue, that the nightmare is born. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. The birth of a beholder is a subject so strange, so steeped in madness, that it requires its own examination. For now, focus on the creature as it floats before you in your mind's eye. See the symmetry in its horror. It is a perfect sphere of death, a self-contained ecosystem of magical artillery. It needs no legs to walk, for it floats. It needs no hands to hold weapons, for its eyes are guns. It needs no allies to watch its back, for it sees in all directions. It is the ultimate introvert, the ultimate survivalist. As we conclude our anatomical survey, imagine the air around the creature. It smells of ozone and power barely contained. The heat of its body radiates outward, warming the damp air of the cavern. It is a living reactor of aberrant energy. You have seen the machine. You have inspected the gears of flesh and the pistons of muscle. But a machine is nothing without the software that runs it, and the mind of a beholder, that is a labyrinth from which few return. Few return. In the next section, we will dare to enter that mind. We will explore the dreaming, the terrifying process by which beholders reproduce. We will learn how thoughts take form, and how a single nightmare can birth a new monster into the world. The anatomy is just the shell. The madness is the fuel. Let us prepare to sleep, and perchance to dream. But be warned, in the world of the beholder, dreams are dangerous things. Let us move past the initial shock of that gaze. Let us step closer in the safety of this visualization, and dismantle the creature not with weapons, but with understanding, to truly comprehend the beholder. We must look beyond the terror it inspires, and examine the impossible biology that sustains it. We must look at the meat, the fluid, and the bone of a thing that should not exist. Imagine the creature suspended before you. The first thing you notice, now that you are looking with the eye of a scholar, is the sheer texture of its existence. In the frenzied panic of battle, one might mistake its hide for simple skin. One might mistake its hide for simple skin. But it is something far more ancient and durable. Its round body is covered in a tough, leathery hide, often dark green or gray, textured like chitin, and cool to the touch. It is not smooth. It is a landscape of scars and calcification. The skin is hard, chitinous, scraped raw, from brushing too long against stone tunnels. This roughness tells a story. When it moves, this hide scrapes lightly against the cavern walls, sending soft echoes through the silence. It is a sound of friction. It is a sound of friction, of a creature that is literally harder than the world it inhabits. This armored plating is essential, for inside this shell, the beholder is a furnace of magical energy. Observe the way it holds itself in the air. It does not flap wings. It does not use jets of gas. Beholders never touch the ground, hovering effortlessly at all times. This levitation is not a spell that can be dispelled by a simple countercharm. This levitation is not a spell that can be dispelled. It is a constant biological state of being. They hover suspended by an invisible field of magic that gives off a faint resonant hum, like a low chant just below the range of hearing. Focus on that sound. Thrum, thrum. It is soft but unsettling, a quiet reminder that they don't belong to this world. This hum follows them everywhere. It allows the beholder to move silently through its lair, untouched by traps or difficult terrain, giving it a tactical advantage that defies gravity. When it glides by you in the dark, the air feels subtly warmer, as if stirred by something not quite natural. This is the heat of its metabolism. This is the heat of its metabolism, the byproduct of the immense energy required to keep such a dense, heavy creature afloat. Now, look to the crown. Surrounding the massive bulk of the central sphere are 10 lesser stalks that wave with purpose. These are not chaotic tentacles. They are sophisticated, muscular limbs. Each one acts as a lens for destruction. In the stillness you can hear them moving. A wet, slick sound. These stalks are muscular and slick with a thin, glistening layer of mucus that only adds to their alien presence. This lubrication allows them to twist and knot around each other without friction, snapping into position with terrifying speed. The eyes at the tips of these stalks are not merely organs of sight. They are apertures for raw power. They glow with a faint internal luminescence, flashes of red, blue, green, or violet light that flicker across the stone walls. Like a shifting kaleidoscope, energy crackles from them. Searing rays, disintegration beams, and psionic lashes, filling the air with the sharp scent of ozone and power, barely contained. And then, there is the center. The eye. Perhaps the most terrifying feature of a beholder is its central eye. A large, wet orb that stares with unwavering focus. It is not like the eye of a dragon, which burns with greed, or the eye of a beast, which burns with hunger. This eye glows not with light, but with distortion, Reality itself seems to ripple in its gaze, bending gently as if the world resists what it sees. This is the source of the anti-magic cone. When it opens fully, it projects a wide cone of anti-magic up to 150 feet ahead. It is a biological projector of null energy. The cone shimmers faintly like heat rising from stone, warping light and bending reality within its reach. Inside that gaze, spells fizzle and enchantments fade. The magical hum of the world goes quiet, leaving behind a heavy stillness, broken only by the sound of water dripping or footsteps in the dark. To the beholder, this eye is its shield and its gavel. It is a safeguard against sorcery, a tool of control. It reflects the creature's very nature, suspicious, strategic, and always ready to shut down anything it doesn't trust. Deep inside, beneath the layers of muscle and the damp heat of its organs, lies the source of its reproduction, which is perhaps the most alien trait of all. Beholders are not born of nature, but of nightmare. They are not born alike. Each one is unique, shaped by the chaos of the far realm and the fractured mind of their progenitor. Their origin is tied to a legendary entity called the Great Mother, a massive beholder of unimaginable power who drifts endlessly through the shifting currents of the far realm. It is said that her spores released like drifting ash across different planes, slowly growing until they erupted into fully formed beholders. This form of spontaneous generation reflects the unpredictable nature of their origin. When a beholder comes into existence, its eyes open with a jolt of unstable energy, and its eye stalks writhe to life, each one carrying a deadly beam of magic. There is no infancy, no learning period. They emerge fully formed, fully paranoid, and fully dangerous. They are creatures touched, perhaps created, by the unknowable forces of the far realm, where thoughts take form, and form has no meaning. This biology, the hard, chitinous skin, the levitating organ humming in the deep silence, the mucus-slick stalks, and the reality-warping central eye, creates a predator that is solitary, obsessed, and brilliant. They are grotesque, yes, but there is a symmetry in their horror, a kind of awful beauty. They do not simply inhabit their bodies. They rule them, just as they rule the darkness that surrounds them. With the physical form mapped out in our minds, we can begin to understand the mind that pilots it. A mind that trusts no one, not even itself. A mind that shapes its surroundings into a reflection of its own madness. The silence of the laboratory fades, and we find ourselves drifting once more, not into the physical tunnels of the Underdark this time, but into a space much harder to navigate. We are drifting into the landscape of the mind. We are drifting into the landscape. To understand how a creature like the beholder continues to exist, we must unlearn everything we know about the natural world. In the forests and cities, life is a cycle of biology. 2 become 3, a seed is planted, and it grows. But beholders are not like other creatures. They are not born of nature, but of nightmare. There is no mating dance for the beholder. There is no instinct to pair, no search for a suitable partner to carry on the lineage. Such concepts are beneath them. Remember, in the mind of a beholder, they are already perfect. To mix their essence with another would be to dilute that perfection. It would be an admission that they are incomplete, and a beholder admits nothing. So how do they multiply? How does one floating sphere of paranoia become 2? The answer lies in the power of their obsession. Beholders are brilliant, their minds constantly whirring with plans, contingencies, and deep-seated fears. When a beholder sleeps, if you can call the trance-like state of such a creature sleep, its mind does not rest. It wanders. It connects to the unknowable forces of the far realm, that place beyond madness where thoughts take form, and form has no meaning. And in that place, something imagines them, and makes them real. Oh! Imagine the beholder in its lair. It is floating in the stillness, suspended by that soft resonant hum. Its central eye may be closed, or perhaps it is staring blankly into the dark, saying things that are not there. It begins to dream. But its dreams are not like yours. They are not fleeting images, they are acts of creation. Perhaps it dreams of arrival. A beholder is solitary, obsessed, paranoid. It spends its waking hours anticipating betrayal. It assumes everyone and everything is plotting against it. In its dream, this paranoia crystallizes. It imagines a foe strong enough to challenge it. It imagines another beholder, floating in the darkness, waiting to strike. This thought is so powerful, so saturated with the chaotic energy of the far realm, that reality begins to warp. The air around the dreaming beholder grows heavy. The scent of ozone and power barely contained fills the chamber. Reality itself seems to ripple, bending gently as if the world resists what is happening. And then, the dream becomes flesh. What is happening? And then, the dream becomes flesh. Sometimes this happens through spores. Ancient tales whispered in dusty libraries speak of spores released, like drifting ash. These spores settle across the damp stone of the cavern, feeding on the ambient magic and the mold-slicked tunnels. They grow slowly, pulsing like living flesh, until they erupt. Other times, the manifestation is more sudden. A ripping of the air, a thin silken tear in reality. However it happens, the result is violent. A new creature bursts into existence. Its eyes open with a jolt of unstable energy. Its eye stalks writhe to life, instantly capable of unleashing death. Instantly capable of unleashing death. This is not a birth in the way we understand it. There is no infancy. There is no period of vulnerability where the parent nurtures the child. The new beholder is born fully formed. It is born with all the memories, all the instincts, and most importantly, all the paranoia of its creator. And this is where the tragedy of the beholder reveals itself. Because the parent dreamed of a rival, it has created a rival. The first thing these two creatures feel for one another is hatred. The parent looks at the child and sees a threat. The child looks at the parent and sees a flawed copy to be destroyed. Each one believes itself perfect. In their eyes, there can only be one center of the universe. The existence of another is an insult. And so, the lair becomes a battlefield. Energy crackles between them. Searing rays and disintegration beams collide in the dark. They shape the tunnels, carving them with their rays, turning the hallway into a graveyard, littered with the bones of those who dared and failed. Usually, the older, more experienced beholder destroys its offspring, or the younger, faster one drives the elder away. They separate, drifting off to claim their own territories in the humid tunnels, where walls drip with fungi and decay. This form of spontaneous generation reflects the unpredictable nature of their origin. It explains why no two beholders are exactly alike. Each one is unique, shaped by the fractured mind that dreamed it. If a beholder dreams while sick or injured, it might spawn a creature that is twisted, with skin that is hard and chitinous but shaped wrong. If it dreams of being watched, it might spawn a spectator, a smaller cousin with fewer eye stalks, designed only to guard. This chaos traces back to the beginning. One widely accepted theory ties their creation to a legendary entity called the Great Mother. She is a massive beholder of unimaginable power who drifts endlessly through the shifting currents of the far realm. The Great Mother does not just represent their beginning. She remains a constant force in their mythos. Her domain is a writhing, living place where the air buzzes with psychic energy. It is said she gave birth to the first beholders not through any natural process, but through a kind of panicked, twisted instinct. When she feels threatened, she spawns. Her spores release, drifting across plains. And from her madness the first beholders were born. This chaotic method of reproduction has led to an endless variety of beholders across the multiverse. But there are other theories, whispered by those who study the forbidden histories. Some scholars believe the ancient Nether Empire, a civilization of powerful arcanists who once ruled Faerun, had a hand in this. In their hidden laboratories deep underground, they may have tried to control the power of the far realm. It is possible they accidentally created the first beholders while experimenting with portals and alien energy. If this is true, then beholders are not just monsters. They are the fallout of a magical catastrophe. These early versions, twisted by magic and fear, escaped into the Underdark. There, in the dark, damp caverns, they adapted quickly. They became the solitary rulers of their own twisted domains, reflecting the paranoia of their creators. Whichever origin you believe, whether they are the children of a mad god or the mistake of arrogant wizards, the result is the same. They are creatures of isolation. They drift through the dark like thoughts made flesh. They shape their layers, carving them to suit their needs. Every layer is a reflection of the mind within. Every crack, every sculpture, every trap is obsessively crafted by a being who trusts no one. It is a lonely existence. In the end, beholders are more than monsters. They are a reflection of something much deeper. They represent the fear of the unknown, the madness of too much power, and the terrifying beauty of minds shaped by chaos. As we leave the birthing chamber of the mind, we must prepare ourselves for the next step. We understand their body. We understand their birth. Now we must understand their daily reality. What is it like to be the smartest thing in the dark? What is it like to believe, with absolute certainty, that you are the only real thing in existence? In the next section, we will explore the psychology of the beholder. We will delve into the solipsism that defines them. We will listen to the whispers in their minds, the telepathy that feels like a cold breeze brushing the back of your neck. We will learn why they are not just dangerous because of their race, but because of their brilliance. So, let the image of the drifting spores fade. Let the sound of the newborn's cry vanish into the silence. You are still safe here. The dream is over, but the thinker remains. We have spent time examining the body of the beast, and we have witnessed the nightmare of its birth. But now, we must venture into a place far more dangerous than any physical tunnel, we must step inside the mind of the beholder. We must step inside the mind of the beholder. Come, let us find a quiet corner in the library of our thoughts. Imagine a room with thick velvet curtains drawn against the day, where the only light comes from a single, steady candle. The flame does not flicker. It is constant. It is focused, just like the gaze of the creature we are studying. To understand a beholder, you cannot simply think of it as a monster. A wolf hunts because it is hungry. A demon destroys because it is chaotic. But a beholder destroys because it is right. The psychology of these creatures is built upon a single, unshakable pillar of truth: solipsism. In the philosophy of our world, solipsism is the theory that only the self is sure to exist. For a beholder, this is not a theory. It is a biological imperative. Every beholder believes, with every fiber of its alien being, that it is the apex of existence. It is not just special or chosen. It views itself as the literal center of the universe, the standard by which all other reality is measured. Imagine waking up every day with the absolute certainty that you are the only perfect thing in creation. Every other creature, every elf, every dragon, every god, is merely a rough draft, a mistake, or a distorted reflection of your own glory. This is the mindset of the beholder. They do not see us as enemies, at least not in the way we see them. They see us as errors. This belief is what fuels their legendary isolation. Beholders are not like other creatures in a world of dragons and gods. They stand alone. They do not form nations. They do not build families. To share power would be to admit that another being is worthy of holding it, and that is an impossibility to the beholder mind. They are solitary, obsessed, and paranoid. Obsessed and paranoid. But let us pause on that word. Paranoid, mentioning. It is a word we use often to describe them, but it is perhaps too small a word. When we think of paranoia, we think of madness, of irrational fear. But for a beholder, paranoia is a form of genius. Beholders are brilliant. Their minds are capable of processing information at a speed that would dazzle the greatest wizard. They see everything. Remember, they have no blind spots. Their eye stalks are constantly shifting, scanning every shadow. A physical expression of the creature's deep-rooted paranoia. They absorb every detail of their environment. The drip of water, the shift of air currents, the faint vibration of footsteps miles away. Because they are so intelligent, they can imagine every possible outcome of every possible interaction. And because they believe they are the perfect center of the universe, they logically conclude that the universe wants to take that status away from them. They assume betrayal because, in their minds, betrayal is the only logical move for an inferior being to make. If you were a goblin serving a god, would you not try to steal its power? Of course you would. Therefore, the beholder assumes you are plotting. Always. This is why they do not simply inhabit their lairs. They craft them into death traps. Every hallway and chamber is littered with the bones of those who dared and failed. Every crack, every sculpture, every trap is obsessively crafted by a being who trusts no one, not even itself. They prepare for attacks from the ceiling, from the floor, from the ethereal plane, and from the future. It is a burden, this brilliance. Imagine a mind that never rests, a mind that is constantly playing out thousands of scenarios of its own death. They are trapped in a loop of their own intelligence. They are the smartest thing in the dark, and that is exactly why they are so terrified. And how does this terror manifest when they communicate? Beholders do not speak in the way most creatures do. They have mouths, yes, filled with serrated teeth, but they prefer to bypass the clumsy medium of sound. They communicate through telepathy, a strange, invasive presence in the mind. If you have ever stood before a beholder, you know the sensation. It is not like a conversation. It is like a cold breeze brushing the back of your neck. It is a violation. Their thoughts slide into your skull, cold and clear, like a draft down your spine. Often, this inner voice comes in scattered thoughts. It is not a cohesive monologue. It is a rambling stream of consciousness about imagined enemies, layers of traps, or elaborate plans to stay one step ahead. You might hear them muttering about the geometric imperfection of a stalactite, or listing the ways your armor could be melted, all while they float silently before you. Even when they are silent, the air around a beholder can feel charged, as if their thoughts leak into the space around them. They mock adventurers from the shadows with whispers that feel like a spider crawling over your skin. They share their paranoid plans with their minions, pathetic creatures like intellect, devourers that skitter along stone, treating them as mere extensions of their own will. This telepathy reveals the fracture in their psyche. They are desperate to control, yet they are deeply isolated. They project their thoughts because they need to dominate the mental space, just as they dominate the physical space. But the true horror of the beholder's mind is reserved for its own kind. You might think that two creatures of such intellect would find common ground. You would be wrong. Beholders are not born alike, and to a beholder, difference is death. They see other beholders as flawed copies to be destroyed. When a beholder sees another of its kind, it does not see a brother. It sees a caricature. Look at its eye stalks. It thinks they are too long. The color of its chitin is the wrong shade of gray. It is an insult to the perfection that is me. This deep-seated hatred leads to the famous conflicts in the underdog. These are not wars for resources or territory in the traditional sense. They are wars of vanity. They are ideological purges where the ideology is simply I exist. The result is a kind of evolutionary arms race, where beholders adapt, retreat, and plot, always assuming betrayal, always alone. They carve out their domains in the humid tunnels, where walls drip with fungi and decay, ruling over their solitary kingdoms. And yet, despite this hatred, there is a strange symmetry in their horror, a kind of awful beauty. They are the ultimate survivors. They are not bound by the morals of good and evil. They are bound only by the cold logic of their own superiority. Consider for a moment the sheer mental fortitude required to live this way, to be eternally vigilant, to never sleep without one eye open, to constantly reshape the world because the world as it is simply not good enough. It is a tragedy, in a way. Beholders are creatures of immense creative potential. They can dream life into existence. They can carve stone with a thought. But all of that potential is turned inward, twisted by fear and obsession. They are the architects of their own prisons. 9. In the end, beholders are more than monsters. They are a reflection of something much deeper. The fear of the unknown, the madness of too much power, and the terrifying beauty of minds shaped by chaos. As we sit here, in the safety of our own minds, we can pity them. We can pity the creature that conquers gravity but cannot conquer its own fear. We can pity the God eye that sees everything but understands nothing of trust. But do not pity them too much, for if you were to stand before one, it would not pity you, it would unmake you. We have explored the body, the birth, and the mind. But where did such a mind come from? Surely, biology alone cannot explain a creature that defies the laws of nature so flagrantly. To find the source of this madness, we must look further back. We must look beyond the Underdark, beyond the material plane, and gaze into the swirling, chaotic void of the far realm. In the next section, we will trace the lineage of the beholder back to its divine, or perhaps infernal, roots. We will speak of the Great Mother, the entity that drifts in the place beyond madness. We will explore the legends of the Nether Empire and the ancient mistakes that may have let these horrors into our world. Ow! The mind is a scary place, but the cosmos is terrified. Take a moment to clear your thoughts. Let the invasive whispers fade. The candle in our mental room is still burning. You are still you. Shall we look to the stars and the darkness between them? The candle in our mental sanctuary burns low, but we must not let it go out, not yet. For the shadows we are about to explore are not merely the absence of light. They are the presence of something else entirely. We are leaving the humid, dripping tunnels of the Underdark behind. We are leaving the solid ground of the material plane. To understand the beholder, we must go to the place where the laws of reality break down. We must go to the source. Imagine, if you can, a place where distance is a lie, a place where time flows like thick syrup, sometimes backward, sometimes sideways, a place where the sky, if you can call it that, glows in colors that the human eye physically cannot perceive, colors that hurt to look at. This is the far realm. It is a chaotic dimension, a rip in the fabric of the multiverse. Here, the ground pulses like living flesh. The air is thick with strange energies that twist minds and poison the lungs with a sharp metallic tang. In this place beyond madness, thoughts take form, and form has no meaning. And floating in this impossible void is the progenitor, the matriarch, the Great Mother. She is the primal fear from which all beholders descend. While a normal beholder might be 6 feet across, the Great Mother is vast, a massive entity of unimaginable power. Some legends say she is the size of a castle. Others say she is the size of a moon. She drifts endlessly through the shifting currents of the far realm, a bloated, writhing mountain of flesh and eyes. Picture her in your mind, but be careful. She does not have the symmetrical, armored beauty of her children. She is chaos incarnate. Her body is a landscape of wet, oozing tissue. She is covered not in 10 eye stalks or 20, but countless numbers of them. A forest of eyes, writhing and snapping, looking in every direction, across every plane of existence simultaneously. She is the source of the hum that all beholders emit. In her presence, that hum is not a sound, it is a vibration that rattles the teeth and liquefies the marrow. The air around her buzzes with psychic energy. The Great Mother is not a god in the way we understand gods. She does not demand worship. She does not build temples. She does not care for the souls of mortals. She simply is. She is a force of consumption and creation entwined, according to ancient tales, whispered in dusty libraries. She gave birth to the first beholders, not through biological necessity, but through a kind of panicked, twisted instinct. They say that when she moves through the cosmos, debris follows her, entire chunks of reality torn loose, and from her flesh, spores release like drifting ash. These are not simple seeds, they are fragments of her madness. They drift across the plains, settling on worlds like Faerun or Orth, or the distant clusters of Spelljammer space. When they land, they grow. They erupt into the first beholders, fully formed, eyes snapping open with a jolt of unstable energy. This is why every beholder, no matter how solitary, shares a common thread. Deep in their genetic memory, buried beneath layers of paranoia and narcissism, is the memory of her, the memory of the far realm. It is why they are so alien. They are invasive species in our reality. But the Great Mother is not the only echo of divinity in their history. There is another name, spoken less often, but perhaps more terrifying because of its proximity to the worlds we know. Demnid, the gas giant, Erntayo. While the Great Mother drifts in the outer voids, Gemnid is said to lurk closer to the boundaries of the elemental planes. He is the only known offspring of the Great Mother to achieve a status akin to godhood. Though he is a lesser power, he is the patron of gases, fogs, and obscuration. Imagine a beholder, but strip away the hard chitinous shell. Replace the armored plating with swirling mists. Gemnid is a creature of vapor and deception. His eye stalks are not muscular tentacles, but coalescing streams of gas that form eyes only when they need to fire. He is the master of the ambush, the god of the hidden threat. Beholders do not pray to Gemnid. They do not pray to anyone, for that would imply they are subservient. But they respect him. They respect the concept of him. He represents the ultimate victory of the beholder philosophy, to become so intangible, so pervasive, that nothing can hurt you. These divine origins, the Great Mother and her gaseous son, paint a picture of beholders as cosmic horrors. They are celestial drift seeds from a tree of madness. However, not every scholar agrees with this divine origin. In the dusty archives of Candlekeep and the high towers of Thay, there is another theory, a theory that places the blame for beholders not on gods, but on mortals. We must look to the ancient Nether Empire. In Ichen, thousands of years ago, before the great desert swallowed their cities, the Netherese were the masters of magic. They possessed technology and spellcraft that we can barely comprehend today. They severed mountain tops and turned them into flying cities. They challenged the gods themselves. Some scholars believe that in their hunger for power, the Netherese arcanists tried to peer beyond the veil of reality. In their hidden laboratories deep underground, protected by wards of diamond and mithril, they sought to tap into the raw energy of the far realm. They wanted to harvest the power of madness. The theory suggests that they succeeded, But at a terrible cost, they opened a door they could not close. Imagine the scene. A circle of high wizards, chanting in a language that hurts the throat to speak. The air in the chamber grows cold, the light warps, and then, through the shimmering portal, something leaks through. It is not a clean summoning. It is a contamination. The magic they used twisted back upon them. Some believe the first beholders were not summoned, but created in that moment. Mortal creatures or magical constructs that were warped by the alien energy into the floating spheres we know today. These early versions, twisted by magic and fear, escaped into the Underdark. They fled the burning cities of Netheril, descending into the cool, dark places of the earth. There, they adapted. They solidified. The madness of the far realm hardened into the chitinous shell and the paranoid mind we recognize. This theory is terrifying in its own right. If it is true, then beholders are not just invaders. They are our fault. They are the living consequences of mortal hubris. They are the magical pollution left behind by a dead empire. It explains their affinity for arcane items. It explains why Goths, those less akin, feed on magic. It explains why beholders so often make their lairs in ruined castles and forgotten libraries. They are drawn to the places of their birth, seeking to reclaim the magic that created them, or perhaps to destroy it. Whether they are the spores of the Great Mother or the sins of Netheril, the result is the same. They are here, and they do not belong. When you stand in a beholder's lair, and you feel that soft hum, you are feeling the vibration of a distant alien world. You are feeling the pulse of the far realm. The beholder is a living portal. Its central eye, with its anti-magic cone, is a small patch of reality where the laws of our universe are suspended. In a way, every beholder is trying to turn the world back into the far realm. They shape their tunnels. They warp reality with their dreams. They suppress magic. They are terraforming our reality into something their Great Mother would recognize. This cosmic perspective changes how we see them. They are not just monsters in a cave. They are anchors. They are heavy, dense points of alien gravity that drag our world toward madness. As we let this cosmic horror settle, as we pull our minds back from the brink of the far realm, we must realize that the beholder family tree is not a straight line. It is a tangled web of mutations. The Great Mother did not just create one type of beholder. Her madness is infinite, and so are her children. In the next section, we will examine the true kin. We will look at the hierarchy of these spheres. We have spoken of the standard beholder, but what of the ones that grow old? What happens when a beholder survives for centuries, accumulating power and paranoia? We will meet the Elder Orbs, ancient tyrants who have learned to cast spells without hands. And we will speak of the rare, terrifying Hive Mothers, the only beholders capable of dominating their kin. The Great Mother's dream is vast, and we have only just begun to catalogue the nightmares she has unleashed. Breathe. The far realm is gone. You are back in your room. The geometry of the walls is stable. Up is up, down is down. But the eye remains open. Is she down? Here. Shall we continue to the Elder Orbs? We have drifted far into the cosmos, touching the edges of madness where the Great Mother sleeps. But now, gravity pulls us back. We must descend once more into the crushing depths of the Underdark. But the story of the beholder does not end with their creation. It continues with their survival. Ow! Ow! In the brutal ecosystem of the deep earth, few things live long enough to grow old. The drow assassinate one another for sport. The mind flayers consume brains to feed their elder brains. And the beholders, well, the beholders wage endless, silent wars against their own reflections. But what happens when a beholder wins? What happens when a creature of infinite paranoia and brilliant strategy survives not just for decades, but for centuries? What happens when it kills every rival, eats every assassin, and learns every secret written in the stone? It does not simply grow older, it evolves. It transcends the already terrifying perfection of its kind to become something truly legendary, an elder orb. Come with me into the deepest part of the cavern. The air here is not just damp, it is heavy, it vibrates against your chest. The silence is not empty, it is pressurized. You feel a low hum in the background, like distant thunder rolling underground, or the sound of a massive machine idling just out of sight. This is the aura of an elder orb. Most beholders measure around 6 feet in diameter, a terrifying size to be sure, but an elder orb is massive, often swelling to reach over 10 feet across. It is a moon of flesh floating in the dark. Just being near one feels different. The stone underfoot seems to tremble with the resonance of its levitation. Until look closely at its hide. The skin of a younger beholder is tough and leathery, perhaps scarred from a few battles, but the hide of an elder orb is a geological record of violence. It is rough and warm. Studded with bony growths and calcified protrusions that shift and click as it moves. It looks less like skin and more like stone baking in the sun. It has become a part of the mountain it rules. But the true horror lies in the eyes. In charge of stone at Heimsel, Anstakiu and in Alza Kalgio Street. A standard beholder is a creature of 10 stalks. The elder orb, however, has mutated through centuries of exposure to wild magic and the warping influence of the far realm. It has grown. Some elder orbs sprout 15 or more eye stalks, a writhing crown of weaponry that makes the air sizzle with potential death. These are not the untested weapons of a newborn. These are ancient cannons. Their rays are amplified to a terrifying degree. A single blast of disintegration from one of these creatures does not just turn a man to dust. It can melt a tunnel wall in seconds, leaving the rock dripping like wax and the air thick with the sharp, acrid scent of ozone. And the central eye, that massive, unblinking window to the void. In some elder orbs, this eye has grown clouded with the cataract of time, yet it glows with an ancient, hateful power. Its anti-magic cone is no longer just a suppression field. It is a tidal wave. It is broader, deeper, and more overwhelming than anything a younger kin could manage. In its presence, magic does not just fade, it dies. It is crushed under the weight of the orb's will. However, there is a divergence here. A secret whispered by those few adventurers who have survived an encounter with the grandfathers of the Eye. As beholders age, their obsession with magic often consumes them. Some elder orbs begin to experiment. They realize that their central eye, while a perfect defense blocks them from using the very magic they crave. And so, in a twist of irony that only a beholder could justify, some elder orbs blind themselves. They sacrifice the anti-magic cone to unlock the ability to cast spells like a wizard. Imagine a beholder that does not just shoot rays, but weaves complex necromancy, teleports across planes, or summons demons to do its bidding. These are the sages of their kind. Their lairs are not just bunkers. They are vast libraries or ruined cities where books gather dust and secrets are hidden behind layers of traps and illusions. Facing one is never just a fight. It is a test of wit, power, and will. But even the Elder Orb, for all its power, is usually solitary. It is a king without subjects, ruling over a court of mindless minions and petrified statues. There is, however, a creature that breaks this rule. A creature so rare and so terrifying that even other beholders shudder at its thought. The Hive Mother. In the standard psychology of beholder kind, we know that they view all others as rivals. You are different, therefore you must die. But the Hive Mother, sometimes called the ultimate tyrant, is born with a different delusion. She does not see other beholders as rivals. She sees them as limbs. While the Elder Orb is a mutation of age, the Hive Mother is a mutation of birth. She is a direct throwback to the Great Mother herself. Physically, she is a nightmare of efficiency. She is larger even than the Elder Orbs, a colossal sphere of flesh, but she does not have the waving serpentine eye stalks of her kin. Her eyes are flush with her body, embedded deep within her chitinous armor, protected by heavy ridges of bone. This makes her nearly impossible to blind. She has no dangling stalks to sever. She is a fortress. Her power is not just in her rays, but in her mind. The Hive Mother possesses a unique psychic dominance. She can do the impossible. She can force other beholders to work together. We spoke earlier of the Beholder Collective, a rare anomaly where beholders are forced to cooperate against a great threat like the Mind Flayers. In those cases, the alliance is fragile, held together by necessity and dissolving into betrayal the moment the danger passes. But, under the gaze of a Hive Mother, there is no betrayal. There is only obedience. She emits a psychic signal, a command frequency that overrides the natural paranoia of lesser beholders. She gathers them. She creates a hierarchy. For the first time, the I becomes we, but it is a we that is entirely subservient to her. Imagine the implication of this. A beholder is dangerous because it is a genius strategist with an arsenal of magical guns. Now, imagine 10 of them. Imagine 20. Imagine them moving with the synchronized discipline of a soldier ant colony. But each soldier is a floating tank capable of leveling a city. How? These are the architects of the legendary tyrant cities. And off deep in the grey places of the multiverse, or buried in the most inaccessible reaches of the Underdark. Hive Mothers build civilizations. They shape the rock, not just for one, but for many. They hollow out entire mountains, creating vertical megastructures that would drive a human architect mad. In a Hive Mother's domain, the air is thick with the psychic static of absolute control. The walls are lined with gourds feeding on magical runoff. Spectators guard the nurseries. True beholders patrol the perimeter, their paranoia focused entirely outward. their internal rivalry silenced by the overwhelming, psychic song of the mother. It is a horrific perversion of nature. Beholders are meant to be alone. To see them organized is to see the mechanism of the far realm trying to assemble a machine of conquest. Thankfully, hive mothers are incredibly rare. The chaos of the Great Mother ensures that most beholders are born with the drive for isolation. The hive mother is a lightning strike, a cosmic accident where the desire for control overwhelms the desire for solitude. But when they do appear, they change the ecosystem of the Underdark entirely. They cull the weaker races. They push back the mind flayers. They challenge the drow. They create zones of absolute silence where magic dies and only the hum remains. So, we have the true kin. The beholder, the solitary genius, the elder orb, the ancient sage tyrant, the hive mother, the general of the nightmare army. These are the pure bloodlines. If such a word can apply to monsters born of dreams, they are the ones the Great Mother looks upon with, well, not pride, but perhaps recognition. But a dream is a volatile thing. It wavers, it cracks, and sometimes, when a beholder dreams, the result is not a perfect copy, nor a superior evolution. Sometimes, the dream is flawed. Sometimes, the creature that emerges is broken, twisted, or incomplete. These are the beholder kin, the runts, the mistakes, the horrors that even beholders look down upon. They are the spectators, the goths, the gazers. They are the scavengers of the beholder world, living in the shadows of their greater cousins, feeding on the scraps of magic and blood left behind. In the next section, we will descend from the throne room of the hive mother into the gutter of the beholder hierarchy. We will study the goth, the magic eater who hungers for your spells more than your flesh. We will meet the spectator, the only beholderkin that might actually talk to you without killing you immediately. And we will look at the death kiss, a creature so grotesque it relies on blood alone to survive. The perfection of the beholder is a lie, and the proof lies in its mistakes. Stay with me. The hum is fading, but the chittering of the lesserkin is beginning to rise in the dark. The hum of the elder orb fades into the crushing depth of the stone, and we are left in a silence that feels cluttered. We have seen the perfection of the beholder, the creature that believes itself to be the axis upon which the world spins. We have seen the terrifying evolution of the hive mothers, who warp that perfection into tyranny. But a dream is a fragile thing. What happens when the dreamer is distracted? What happens when the beholder, in its gestation trance, feels a flicker of doubt? What happens when the nightmare is not of conquest, but of hunger, or fear, or servitude? Then, the true kin are not born. Instead, the twisted kin tumble into the dark. These are the creatures that beholders view with absolute disgust. To a true beholder, these variants are not family. They are abominations. They are caricatures. They are living proof that the beholder's mind is capable of making a mistake, and that is a truth they kill to suppress. Let us examine the most common of these mistakes. You may have heard whispers of them, or perhaps mistaken them for their greater cousins in the panic of a fight. But here, in the safety of our observation, we can see the differences clearly. First, we must speak of the goth, and inside. In the text of the Underdark, they are sometimes confused with goths, a moniker derived from their darker, more metallic nature. while a true beholder is covered in leathery chitinous hide. The goth is armored in something far more rigid. Imagine a sphere about 4 to 5 feet wide. It is smaller than a true beholder, more compact. Its body is covered in gleaming metallic scales that clink faintly as it moves, like chains, rattling far off. In the dark, reach out with your mind and touch that skin. It does not feel like the warm, rough stone of an elder orb. It feels like polished bronze, cool, rigid, and unnervingly smooth. The goth is a creature of hunger, but it does not hunger for meat in the same way its cousins do. It craves power, specifically, magical power. A goth is a specialized mutation. It usually possesses fewer eye stalks, typically 6, but the central eye is different. It pulses with a deep, hungry light when a goth drifts into a room. The air changes. It absorbs spell energy like a sponge. If you were a wizard standing before one, you would feel your own potential draining away. You would feel the weave unraveling at your fingertips. When a goth feeds on magic, it gives off a soft hum, and its metallic skin grows warm, like a coin left too long in the sun. After it feeds, the air lingers with a magical tingle, the faint scent of ozone and static. 8. This hunger dictates their behavior. They do not build great tyrannical empires. They are scavengers of the arcane. They nest in places saturated with old energy, forgotten wizard towers, crypts filled with scrolls, or ruins deep in the Underdark where ley lines cross. They are the addicts of the beholder family, enduring the company of other creatures only as long as there is magic to consume. To a true beholder, a goth is a parasite, a pathetic thing that needs something else to survive. But if the goth is a parasite, the next kin is something even worse in the eyes of the paranoid. A servant, drifting quietly into our view, is the spectator. Neje, yo. If you were forced to choose a beholder to encounter, you would choose this one. Unlike their aggressive cousins, spectators are calm, steady, and quietly powerful. They are smaller, perhaps only 4 feet across, and their appearance is distinct. Their bodies are not armored in bone or metal. They are smooth, almost glassy, shimmering like polished crystal. They reflect the bioluminescence of the caverns, rippling with color. Their skin feels cool and slick, like wet stone or ice. Inside, you can sometimes see a soft pulse of light, rolling beneath the surface. The spectator is the result of a specific ritual, or a specific dream of safety. Beholders create them, or powerful wizards summon them, for a single purpose: to guard. They are not born with the overwhelming desire to conquer. They are born with an obsessive, compulsive need to protect. They hover over treasure hoards, or hover in the center of a library, watching, always watching. Their anatomy reflects this defensive nature. They typically have 4 eye stalks, and unlike the death-dealing rays of the true beholder, their powers are designed to repel and warn. One stalk might cast a ray of fear. Another might paralyze an intruder, freezing them in place with a chilling beam. Their central eye does not suppress magic. It reflects it. It projects a magical ward that can turn a spell back upon the caster. There is a tragedy to the spectator. They are loyal by design. They are magically bound to a location or an object for 101 years. They will talk to you. They will warn you. They are surprisingly polite in a telepathic, alien sort of way. But they are trapped. They are creatures of immense power who have been lobotomized of their ambition. To a true beholder, a spectator is the ultimate humiliation. It is a beholder that takes orders. It is a god that has agreed to be a dog. But the nightmare goes deeper. The far realm is not just about magic and madness. It is about biology gone wrong. Let us look at the death kiss. How? This creature is rarely spoken of in surface texts. For those who see it rarely live to write about it. Imagine a beholder. But strip away the magical rays. Strip away the dignity of ranged combat. The death kiss is a creature of blood. Instead of eye stalks tipped with magical lenses, it possesses 10 long, writhing tentacles. Each tentacle ends not in an eye, but in a mouth, a toothed maw filled with hollow needles. This creature does not shoot you. It grabs you. Now, enter your mouth. It is a terrifying inversion of the beholder's combat style. While a true beholder floats above the fray, the death kiss descends into it. It latches onto its prey with those 10 mouths, draining blood and electrical impulses from the nervous system. As it feeds, its body swells, glowing with a sickly red internal light, processing the stolen life into energy. It is a beholder that has devolved into a tick. It is a manifestation of the fear of starvation, the fear of running out of fuel. It is a beast that requires constant physical contact with its victims, a trait that the fastidious, levitating true beholder finds repulsive. How? And finally, we must look at the vermin of the dream, the gazers. If the beholder is the shark, the gazers are the piranhas. These are tiny things, barely the size of a melon. About 8 inches across, they swarm. In the deep tunnels, they act as pests. They are wild, aggressive packs of mini beholders that drift through the dark. They possess only 4 eye stalks, and their rays are weak, mimicking the powers of their betters but lacking the punch. They can move objects, they can chill the air, they can cause minor confusion. Beholders often tolerate gazers. In the same way a dragon tolerates rats in its cave. They are annoying, but they serve as an alarm system, or sometimes a snack. However, a gazer can be tamed. Wizards and warlocks sometimes bind them as familiars. They are eager to please, aggressive, and act like erratic, floating puppies that constantly demand food and attention. To see a gazer is to see the beholder form reduced to a joke. These twisted kin, the goth, the spectator, the death kiss, the gazer, reveal the instability of the beholder blueprint. The Great Mother's design is not fixed. It is a spectrum. On one end, you have the godlike hive mother. On the other, you have the chirping, biting gazer. And in the middle, looking at all of them with a mixture of hatred and terror, is the solitary beholder. Is the solitary beholder. It hates the goth, because the goth reveals its dependency on magic. It hates the spectator, because the spectator reveals its potential for servitude. It hates the death kiss because the death kiss reveals its biological hunger. It hates the gazer because the gazer reveals that it could be small. Every variant is a mirror holding up a flaw, and the beholder cannot stand flaws. But there is one transformation we have not yet discussed. A transformation that is not a mistake of birth, but a choice of death, or rather, a refusal of death. What happens when a beholder, terrified of the void, decides that even life itself is a weakness. What happens when it turns to the darkest of arts to ensure that its eye never closes? The air is growing cold in our mental chamber. The smell of ozone is being replaced by the smell of old dust and decay. The hum of levitation is changing to a hollow, rattling sound. In the next section, we will uncover the secret of the Death Tyrant. We will see what happens when a beholder dreams of its own mortality and decides to kill the dream, to save the dreamer. Prepare yourself. We are crossing the threshold from aberration to undead. The eyes are no longer watching. They are judging from beyond the grave. The air in our mental sanctuary has shifted. Can you feel it? We have spent our time thus far in the humidity of living caverns, surrounded by the heat of biological metabolism and the wet slickness of mucus and alien flesh. But now, the moisture freezes, the air grows dry, brittle, and incredibly cold. And incredibly cold. We are leaving the realm of biology behind entirely. We are entering the domain of the Death Tyrant. To understand why a creature obsessed with its own perfection would embrace the rot of undeath, we must return to the core of the beholder's psyche: fear. We know they fear us. They fear their rivals. They fear the gods. But the greatest fear of any beholder, the nagging, incessant terror that keeps their central eye open for decades at a time, is the fear of cessation, the fear that the universe will continue without them. To a beholder, death is not a natural end. It is the ultimate insult. It is the universe finally winning the argument. And so, in the deepest throes of paranoia, some beholders make a choice. Or perhaps they make a mistake that looks like a choice. Imagine a beholder who has grown old. Its scales are cracking. Its reaction times are slowing. It feels the cold creep of mortality. In a panic, it turns to the darkest arts. It might seek out rituals of necromancy, whispered by cultists or found in the tomes of dead liches, or in a twist of tragic irony. It might simply dream of a state where it never has to sleep again. When a beholder dies and rises again through dark necromancy, it returns as something far more terrifying, a death tyrant. Picture the creature drifting before you. It is no longer the fleshy, armored sphere we studied earlier. The meat has sloughed away, or clings in dry tatters to the bone. Its body is a shriveled grey husk, radiating an aura of cold decay. The chittering of its metallic kin is gone. The wet slap of tentacles is gone. Now there is only silence, broken by the faint, dry rattle of bone against bone. The air around it is sharp with the smell of rot, clinging to everything like mildew in an old crypt. Its hide, once leathery and alive, is now cracked and dry like aged parchment, brittle to the touch and rough as stone. Rough as stone. But the most horrific change is in the eyes. The 10 eye stalks that once waved with muscular grace are often gone, replaced by spectral lights or rotting stumps. But the magic remains. These undead stalks cast necrotic beams now, spells like finger of death or enervation, draining life from flesh and leaving only silence behind. Now or antu say, and I want key. And the central eye, the great window to the soul. It is no longer a wet, glistening orb. It is a socket, a clouded, pale void. In a living beholder, The central eye projects an anti-magic cone, a field that suppresses the weave. But in a death tyrant, that field has inverted. It does not suppress magic, it suppresses life. When that central socket looks at you, the air grows cold, as if life itself has been sucked away. This is the negative energy cone. Within this gaze, healing magic fails. Potions turn to inert water. The very spark that keeps your heart beating struggles against a crushing weight of inevitability. Any creature that dies inside this cone does not simply fall. It rises as a zombie, instantly enslaved to the tyrant's will. Now, this creates a distinct shift in the lair's ecology. A living beholder's lair is a place of biological functions. Eating, sleeping, waste. A death tyrant's lair is a tomb. It is cold, still, and full of shadows, guarded by skeletons and undead horrors that move in eerie silence. There are no slaves plotting betrayal here. There are only mindless husks, the perfect servants for a master who trusts no one. Some of these creatures are reanimated by dark gods like orcas, their lairs littered with bones that crunch underfoot. But others transform themselves willingly, using foul rituals to escape death at the cost of becoming something far worse. They float in the dark, slowly regenerating with strange, flickering pulses of dark energy. They have achieved their goal. They are immortal. They are sleepless. They are eternal. But they are also stagnant. A living beholder dreams, creates, and adapts. A death tyrant simply exists. It is a monument to its own fear, a frozen scream of paranoia that refuses to fade. This is the ultimate fate of the perfect being: to become a hollow shell, ruling over a kingdom of dust. And yet, even the death tyrant is bound to the Underdark or the ruined castles of the surface world. What of the beholders who looked up? What of the ones who saw the stars, not as distant lights, but as territories waiting to be conquered? We have explored the deep earth. Now, we must prepare to leave the ground entirely. In the next section, we will board the ships of living stone. We will ascend to the stars. We will explore the lore of Spelljammer and the tyrant ships. We will learn what happens when beholder paranoia is exported to the infinite black ocean of space. The air in our mental room is warming up again. The smell of rot is fading, but the vast empty cold of the void is waiting. Are you ready to fly? The candle that lit our mental chamber has flickered out, but do not be afraid. We have no need for candles where we are going. The darkness here is absolute, pierced only by the distant, frozen diamonds of stars. We are leaving the gravity of Toril. We are leaving the damp, claustrophobic tunnels of the Underdark behind. We are ascending into the wild space, the astral sea, the infinite ocean of night that lies between the worlds. You might think that a creature as solitary and paranoid as the beholder would hate the open exposure of space. You might think they would cling to the dark roots of mountains. But you would be wrong. In the void, Behavior holders have found their true kingdom. Imagine floating in the silence of wild space. There is no up, no down. There is no ground to touch, which, as we know, suits the beholder perfectly. They were born to levitate. In space, their natural buoyancy makes them elegant. terrifying swimmers in the cosmic deep. But they do not drift alone. Eye Tyrant. Out here in the black, you see it, a silhouette blocking out the stars. It is massive, the size of a castle, carved from grey stone or grown from coral and bone. At first, it looks like an asteroid, tumbling through the void, but as it turns, the starlight catches the details. In Eye. It is a sculpture, a grotesque monumental sculpture of a beholder. This is a tyrant ship. In the lore of Spelljammer, beholders are not just dungeon monsters. They are a spacefaring empire. But their ships are not built of wood and canvas like the galleons of elves or humans. They are hollowed-out shells of stone. Of hollowed-out shells of stone, shaped in the image of their creators. The central eye of the ship is often a massive siege weapon, a magical ram or a crystal cannon capable of shattering the hulls of enemy vessels. The eye stalks are turrets, manned by beholders who blast anything that comes within range. The sheer arrogance of it is breathtaking. To build a spaceship that looks exactly like your own face. It is a declaration to the universe, I am coming. But inside these ships, something strange happens to the beholder. Psychology. We know that on the ground, beholders are solitary. They kill their kin on sight. But in space, survival requires a crew. The distances are too vast. The enemies too numerous for a single eye to watch. And so, the beholders of the void have developed a twisted form of society. They segregate by race. In the Underdark, a beholder hates everyone. In space, a beholder hates everyone who doesn't look exactly like it. If a beholder has grey, chitin, and purple eye rings, it will band together with others who have grey chitin and purple eye rings. They form nations or hives. They suppress their mutual loathing just enough to wage war on the beholders who have black chitin and red eye rings. It is a xenophobia so specific, so petty, that it becomes cosmic horror. Massive fleets of tyrant ships clash in the silence of space, disintegrating one another over the shade of a scale or the length of an eye stalk. But how do these stone monuments move? How does a rock fly through the void without sails or engines? Deep in the heart of every tyrant ship, buried in the most secure chamber, lies the answer. And it is perhaps the cruelest thing the beholder race has ever produced. The Orbi. The Orbi is a beholder, but it is diminished. It is a subspecies bred, or perhaps mutated. For a single purpose, it is stunted, barely larger than a man's head. It is blind. Its central eye is milky and useless. Its eye stalks are withered stumps. Its skin is a pale, sickly white, like a grub found under a rotting log. The Orbi has no ego. It has no paranoia. It has no will. It has only power. These wretched creatures are living spell-jamming helms. They channel raw magical energy to propel the ship. They are batteries, the ruling beholders, the captains, wire them into the ship's architecture, draining their life force to push the vessel across the stars. When you stand on the bridge of a tyrant ship, if you can call a platform floating in a hollow sphere a bridge, well, you can hear the Orbi. They do not hum with the power of a true beholder. They whimper, a psychic static of pain and exhaustion that bleeds into the ship's atmosphere. It is a hierarchy of abuse. The captain abuses the crew abuses the Orbi, and the ship abuses the universe. And where are they going? Many of them are heading to, or coming from, a world that is legend among those who sail the stars, a world called Hathor. Hathor is not a planet like yours. It is a flat disk of water and stone, floating in realm space. At its center rises a massive mountain of ice and rock called the Spindle. Piercing the sky, the water is infinite, stretching to the edge of the disk where it cascades into the void. Eon. This world is the beholder homeworld, or at least their primary stronghold in this crystal sphere, and it is a world of endless total war. Imagine a planet where every island, every cave, every cloud bank is ruled by a different faction of beholders. The Grey Mold faction fights the Ten-Stalk faction. The Crimson Shell siege the fortresses of the Spiked One. The air of Hathor is thick with the smell of ozone. The water tastes of copper and blood. It is a meat grinder. And yet, there is a legend here. A legend of the Spindle. It is said that the beholders fight not just for territory, but for the right to ascend the Spindle. They believe that at the peak of this impossible mountain lies the ultimate knowledge, or perhaps a portal to the Great Mother herself. There is a story of a beholder named Large Luigi. It is a ridiculous name, given by human adventurers, but the entity is real. He was a beholder who, unlike his kin, possessed a lawful neutral alignment. He did not want to kill. He wanted to know. Luigi worked as a bartender on the Rock of Bral, a famous asteroid city. He gathered stories, he gathered lore, and eventually he returned to Hathor. He ascended the Spindle, and he changed. He became an ultimate tyrant, a godlike being, but he did not use his power to destroy. He used it to observe. He became a lawmaster. His story is a flicker of hope in the darkness. It proves that the beholder biology does not force them to be monsters. It is a choice made by their culture, their madness, and their fear, but a choice nonetheless. But Luigi is the exception. The rule is the tyrant ship. The rule is the circuit. When you look up at the night sky in a D&D world, you are not just looking at stars. You are looking at the hunting grounds. Beholders in space are the apex predators of the void. They hunt the Neoge, spider-like slavers. They hunt the illithid nautiloids. They hunt the elven man-o-war. They treat the galaxy as their own personal dungeon. To a beholder captain, a planet is just a room with a very high ceiling. An asteroid belt is just a collection of loose stones to be telekinetically thrown at enemies. The silence of space suits them. In the void, no one can hear you scream, but a beholder can hear you think. Their telepathy, unhindered by rock or air, stretches further in the vacuum. A tyrant ship can hail you from miles away, projecting a psychic demand for surrender into the minds of your entire crew simultaneously. Submit, it whispers. I am the center, you are the orbit. And really, is that not the ultimate dream of the beholder? To be a celestial body, to be so large, so heavy with importance, that other creatures revolve around you like moons. In space, They come closest to achieving this dark perfection. But we cannot stay in the void forever. The air is thin here, and the cold is seeping into our mental sanctuary. We must descend again. We must return to the ground, to the dark, to the places where adventurers actually tread. We have seen the ships, we have seen the stars. Now we must look at the fortress. How does a beholder build a home? When you can float, when you can disintegrate rock with a glance, architecture becomes something different. In the next section, we will take a guided tour of a beholder's lair. We will learn about verticality. We will learn why they coat their floors in slime. We will learn about the traps that only a genius with telekinesis could devise. Prepare to watch your step, or rather, prepare to wish you could fly. The Tyrant ship turns away, its stony gaze fixed on a distant star. We are falling back to Earth. Down, 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 down. Into the dark. Into the dark. The stillness of the void is gone, replaced by the heavy, oppressive weight of thousands of tons of rock. We are back in the deep places of the world. The air is thick again, carrying the earthy scent of moss and the faint, rhythmic drip of water from stalactites that hang like silent sentinels in the gloom. We have arrived at the beholder's lair. If the Tyrant ship is a monument to arrogance, the lair is a monument to paranoia. It is not merely a home. It is a weapon. It is a physical manifestation of the beholder's mind, carved into the bedrock of the world. Every layer is a reflection of the mind within. Step carefully here, or rather, do not step at all, for in the home of a creature that defies gravity, the floor is often the most dangerous place to be. The first thing you notice about a beholder's lair is the architecture. It does not follow the logic of humanoid builders. There are no stairs, there are no ladders, there are no ramps. Why would a god build a ramp for a creature that crawls? Instead, the tunnels are vertical. They are smooth, cylindrical chutes carved directly through the stone by the precise application of disintegration rays. They rise and fall like the tubes of a massive organ, connecting chambers that hang suspended in the dark. To a human adventurer, navigating this space is a nightmare of climbing gear and ropes. To a beholder, it is effortless. They glide through these shafts with a soft hum, moving from the lower ladders to the upper sanctums, without ever pausing for breath. The walls of these tunnels are often slick. The disintegration ray does not chip away the stone. It melts it, leaving behind a surface that shines like glass in the low light. It is cool to the touch, and impossible to climb without magic or exceptional skill. And magic, as we know, is unreliable here. The entire lair is designed around the beholder's central eye. The architecture forces intruders into long, narrow passageways, choke points where a single gaze can cover the entire width of the tunnel. Imagine you are climbing one of these vertical shafts. Your muscles burn, your rope strains, and suddenly, at the top of the shaft, a single eye opens. The anti-magic cone descends upon you. Your spider climb spell fails. Your levitate spell vanishes. You fall. And where do you land? You land in the killing grounds. A.N.D. Gao. Beholders shape their layers to maximize their advantages. The floors of these lower chambers are often uneven, jagged, or covered in difficult terrain that slows movement. Or worse, they are trapped. But a beholder's trap is not a simple pit with spikes. That is goblin work. A beholder's trap is a puzzle of physics and magic. They use telekinesis to suspend massive boulders in the ceiling, held in place by a delicate balance or a magical trigger when an intruder steps on a pressure plate, which the floating beholder never touches. The telekinesis fails, and the rock crushes the room. They create false floors using illusions that shimmer faintly like heat haze. You see a solid stone bridge spanning a chasm. You step on it. You fall into a pool of acid that bubbles quietly in the dark, giving off choking fumes. Some traps are designed to work with the beholder's rays. A room might be filled with mirrors, polished sheets of metal or crystal angled with mathematical precision. When the beholder fires a ray into the room, it bounces. It ricochets around corners, hitting targets that thought they were safe behind cover. To the beholder, this is simple geometry. To you, it is a light show of chaos. But the lair is more than just traps. It is alive. A powerful beholder does not just live in a cave. Its presence warps the reality of the area. This is known as a regional effect. The intense, alien consciousness of the creature bleeds into the environment. When you are within a mile of a beholder's lair, you might feel it, the feeling of being watched. It is a constant pressure in the air, a prickling on the back of your neck, even when nothing moves. Surfaces in the lair often become slimy. The stone weaves a thin, translucent mucus, similar to the substance that coats the beholder's own eye stalks. This slime makes the floors slippery, causing intruders to stumble, while the hovering beholder remains unaffected. And sometimes the paranoia manifests physically. An adventurer might look at a cavern wall and see an eye staring back at them. It is not a real eye. It is an immobile, sensory growth that the beholder has warped into existence. Through these fleshy patches on the walls, the beholder can see. It is always watching. It controls every inch of its domain. Navigating this nightmare, you will eventually encounter the inhabitants. But they are not friends. They are barely even allies. Beholders are solitary, yes, but they are also lazy, and they enjoy having subjects to rule. Minions in a beholder's lair are a tragic collection of broken minds. Kobolds and goblins are common, but they are usually terrified, their wills shattered by constant telepathic bullying. They serve as fodder. They reset the traps. They scrub the slime or spread it. And if they make a mistake, zap. More dangerous are the minions that reflect the beholder's own nature. Intellect devourers, brains on legs, often skitter along the walls, probing the minds of intruders. These aberrations are allowed to exist because they serve as a psychic early warning system. They eat the memories of those who invade, leaving only empty husks. And then, there are the goths and spectators we spoke of earlier. In a large lair, a powerful beholder might tolerate a goth in the lower levels, using it as a guard dog for a magical vault. The goth feeds on the magic items the beholder deems trash, and in return, it disintegrates anyone who tries to steal them. But make no mistake, the beholder cares for none of them. In the heat of battle, a beholder will disintegrate its own minions without a second thought if it means hitting the hero standing behind them. To the beholder, minions are just mobile cover. They are pawns in a game where only the king matters. As you push deeper, past the slime-slicked walls, past the terrified kobolds, past the gravity traps, you reach the center, the sanctum. This is the heart of the complex. It is usually a vast spherical chamber, allowing the beholder to use its full range of three-dimensional movement. The ceiling is high, often lost in shadow. The floor is far below. Sometimes, a lake of dark water, or a pit of jagged glass. At the center, there might be a raised platform carved from stone, or a floating island of rock held aloft by the beholder's will. This is the throne. This is the throne. Here, the beholder keeps its treasures, but a beholder does not hoard gold for the sake of wealth. It hoards things that define its identity. Art, knowledge, magic. You might find statues of the beholder itself, carved by enslaved artisans. You might find tapestries depicting its victories over rivals. You might find a library of stolen spellbooks, organized not by subject, but by the color of the binding, or by the smell of the ink. A system that makes sense only to the mad genius who created it. The treasures glitter in the dark. Coins that whisper underfoot. Artifacts humming with trapped energy. But every beautiful thing here hides a danger. The gold pile might be resting on a pressure plate. The jeweled chalice might be a mimic trained to bite only non-beholders. In this room the air is heaviest. The hum is loudest. The beholder floats here, surrounded by its trophies, muttering to itself in the dark. It is planning, always planning. It has a plan, for if the ceiling collapses. It has a plan for if the floor turns to lava. It has a plan for if a dragon bursts through the wall. It has a plan for you. In fact, it likely knew you were coming the moment you stepped into the first tunnel. The eyes on the walls saw you. The intellect devourers tasted your fear. The vibration of your boots on the stone sent tremors through the web of its lair. You are not an explorer here. You are a lab rat in a maze designed by a god. And now, the rat has reached the center. The beholder turns. Its central eye opens. The magic in your sword dies. The light of your staff fades. You are alone in the dark with the architect of doom. It is a terrifying realization. The lair was not built to keep you out. It was built to keep you in. As we leave the sanctum, backing away slowly into the shadows, we must acknowledge the sheer creativity of this madness. The beholder is an artist. Its medium is stone, trap, and fear. But even artists have names. Even monsters have histories. We have spoken of beholders as a species, as a collective nightmare. But there are individuals among them who have risen above the rest, beholders whose names are whispered in fear from the taverns of Waterdeep to the spires of Sigil. In the next section we will meet them. We will walk the streets of Waterdeep to find the crime Lord Xanathar. We will find the bartender Large Luigi who knows everything. We will study the legends of Manxam and the other great eyes of history. A monster is scary. A monster with a name is a legend. The trap clicks reset behind us. The hum fades. We are safe. For now, but the legends are waiting. Say the word, and we shall meet the celebrities of the dark. The stillness of the lair is behind us now. We have survived the traps, the slime, and the gaze of the anonymous tyrant. But before we leave the darkness completely, we must speak of those who refuse to remain anonymous. In a species defined by isolation, in Eye Tyrant, there are some who have risen to become something more than just a monster in a cave. They have become legends. They have names that are whispered in the taverns of Waterdeep and the spell-jamming ports of the Rock of Brawl. These are the celebrity beholders. And to know them is to understand the true potential of their fractured brilliance. First, we must turn our gaze to the City of Splendors, Waterdeep. Deep beneath its bustling streets, in the shadow of Skullport, rules a creature whose name is synonymous with crime. The Anatha. Ninland Tanata, Salwate de U, Idana C. HR. But here is a secret that few in the realms truly understand. These Anatha is not a name, it is a title. The original Sanathar was a beholder of immense power who founded a criminal empire, but he fell to a band of adventurers long ago, yet the guild did not fall. Another beholder, a rival known as the Eye, stepped in, killed the assassins, and took the name for itself. Since then, a succession of Eye Tyrants has held the title, each one claiming to be the one true Xanathar. The current holder of this title is a beholder named Sushax. He is ancient, bloated, and paranoid even by the standards of his kind. He rules the Xanathar Guild with a chaotic whimsy that terrifies his underlings. He does not just deal in theft and slavery. He deals in information, hoarding secrets as jealously as gold. But Sushax has a weakness, a tiny, orange weakness. Silgar. In. Gao. Silgar is a goldfish. He swims in a large crystal bowl in the center of the Xanathar's sanctum. To Sushax, this fish is the only living thing in the multiverse that is perfect. It is the only thing he loves. He speaks to it, confides in it, and believes it understands him. El, Upchiu, Sao Kibal, Itiadsi, Wajtian, Uptinatsted. The humor of a ten-eyed abomination, doting on a goldfish, is obvious, but the reality is horrific. Goldfish do not live long, and Sushax does not handle grief well. His minions, led by the dwarf Ott Steeltoes, live in constant terror of the fish dying. When Silgar passes, they must frantically replace him with an identical look-alike before the Xanathar notices. If he does notice, he rampages. He disintegrates minions, melts the city sewers, and tears apart the guild in his sorrow. It is a precarious balance, a criminal empire held together by a fishbowl. If Xanathar represents the beholder's desire for control, our next legend represents their capacity for malice. We look to the Zhentarim, the Black Network. For centuries, this organization of evil wizards and mercenaries has plagued Faerun, and at its heart, working alongside the human wizard Manshun, was Manxam. Manxam was not a crime lord hiding in a sewer. He was a political power. He was an ancient Tetherian beholder who realized that working with humans, specifically manipulating them, was more efficient than killing them. He helped found the Zhentarim, trading the raw power of his eye rays for the subtle power of influence. While other beholders fought over caves, Manxam fought for nations. He proved that a beholder could suppress its paranoia long enough to build an army, provided that army marched to his beat. He is a reminder that the smartest beholder is not the one who kills you instantly. It is the one who hires you first. But there is one beholder who defies every rule we have spoken of tonight. One who looked into the void and saw not madness, but truth. We must leave Toril and return to the stars, to the Rock of Brawl. There, in a tavern called the Laughing Beholder, you might find the strangest creature in the multiverse. Large Luigi. Inno. Segides and how. Extension. Luigi, a name given to him by humans, which he accepted with good humor, is a beholder who is lawful neutral. He does not shoot you. He does not hate you. He pours you a drink. Luigi's story begins on Achatha, the war-torn homeworld of the beholders. Like all his kin, he sought to climb the spindle, the massive mountain at the center of the world. But unlike others who sought power, Luigi found enlightenment. When he reached the top, he received a download of cosmic knowledge. He learned the true purpose of his race, that they were meant to be information brokers, the archivists of the universe, not its destroyers. The revelation broke his programming. The paranoia vanished, replaced by a zen-like calm. He left the war, traveled to the Rock of Brawl, and opened a bar. Now, he uses his eye stalks not to disintegrate, but to cast detect lie on unruly patrons, or to use telekinesis to slide a mug of ale down the counter. He is a sage. Adventurers travel across wild space just to ask him questions. For large Luigi knows things that even the gods have forgotten. Inde you, Echi, and Chamel, and Kamisto. He is the ultimate proof that biology is not destiny. Even a creature made of nightmares can choose to wake up. These three, Xanathar, Manxam, and large Luigi, show us the spectrum of the beholder potential, the tyrant, the schemer, and the sage. They are the exceptions that prove the rule. But for every large Luigi, there are 1,000 nameless horrors waiting in the dark. For every Xanathar who loves a fish, there are 1,000 who love only the sound of screaming. We have walked the path of the beholder, from the womb to the tomb, and even to the stars. We have dissected their bodies and their minds. Now, there is only one thing left to do. We must learn how to survive them. If you ever find yourself standing in that anti-magic cone, with the hum vibrating in your teeth, and the eye stalks glowing with death, what do you do? In the final section of our journey, we will discuss tactics, we will discuss survival, and we will finally close the book on the Eye Tyrant. The tavern lights of the Rock of Brawl are fading. The laughter of large Luigi is left behind. We are returning to the silence of your room. Are you ready for the end? The laughter of large Luigi fades into the cosmic background, and the tavern door closes behind us. We are no longer in the safety of the Rock of Brawl. We are back in the room, the real room, the one with the dripping stones and the heavy silence. We have reached the final stage of our journey. We have studied the biology, the psychology, the history, and the variants. We have marveled at their ships and recoiled at their undead. But knowledge is useless if it does not keep you alive. Until our Christi. So, let us play out the scenario one last time. But this time, you are not a helpless observer. You are prepared. You understand the rules of the game. You are standing in the sanctum. The beholder floats before you. The hum of its levitation is a physical pressure against your eardrums. The smell of ozone and dry rot fills your nose. Its central eye opens. In the first rule of survival, Respect the cone. New Seawell. Oh now. The anti-magic cone is the beholder's greatest weapon, but it is also its only weakness. When that main eye is open and looking at you, your magic dies, your enchanted armor becomes heavy steel, your flight spells fail, you are grounded. But realize this, it cannot shoot what it is looking at. The beholder's eye rays are magical effects. They cannot function inside the anti-magic cone. If the beholder wants to disintegrate you, it must close its central eye or look away. This creates a deadly rhythm to the fight. It is a dance. When the eye is open, you are safe from the rays, but you are vulnerable to its minions and its teeth. When the eye closes, the magic returns, but so does the danger. Smart adventurers learn to time this. They spread out. A beholder cannot look at everyone at once. If it suppresses the wizard, the rogue must strike. If it suppresses the cleric, the fighter must draw its attention. The second rule: the environment is the enemy. Do not fight a beholder in an open room. In an open space, it has the high ground forever. It can float out of reach of your swords and rain death from above. You must force it into the tunnels. You must use the stalactites for cover. Remember, its razor line of sight. If you can break that line, you live. But be warned, it can disintegrate your cover, that stone pillar you are hiding behind. It will last exactly 6 seconds against a disintegration ray. You must keep moving. The third rule: attack the ego. This is a strategy rarely found in combat manuals, but it is lore accurate. Beholders are narcissists. They are solipsists. They believe they are the perfect center of the universe. If you can insult it, if you can damage its pride, you can make it irrational. A beholder that is angry makes mistakes. It might focus all its rays on the bard who mocked its chitin, ignoring the wizard casting a banishment spell. It might descend to bite the fighter who laughed at its eye stalks, putting itself in range of a blade. Use its madness against it. The final rule: there is no mercy. Do not try to bargain. Do not try to surrender. To a beholder, a surrender is just the admission that you are a slave. And slaves are disposable. The only way to survive a beholder is to kill it, or to run faster than it can float. But let us assume you win. Ow! The final blow lands. Perhaps an arrow finds the central eye. Perhaps a fireball detonates against its exposed flank. The hum stops. That is the most jarring moment of the encounter. The sound that has filled the air, the resonance that has vibrated in your bones, simply cuts out. Gravity reasserts its hold. The massive floating sphere crashes to the ground with a wet, heavy thud. The eye stalks go limp, twitching one last time before settling into the dust. The light in the eyes fades. The red, the green, the violet, all turning to a dull, milky grey. The tyrant has fallen. The dream is over. As you stand over the corpse, you realize what it truly was. It was not a god. It was not a demon. It was a lonely, terrified thing that built a world of stone to hide from its own fear. And now, it is just meat. We can step back now. We can let the image of the fallen monster fade. The cavern walls dissolve into mist. The smell of ozone is replaced by the fresh, clean scent of your own home. The journey is complete. We have traveled from the far realm to the Underdark. We have seen the Great Mother birthing nightmares in the void. We have seen the Xanathar counting his gold in the sewers. We have seen the Death Tyrant ruling a kingdom of bone. Beholders are, in many ways, the perfect Dungeons and Dragons monster. They are unique to this lore. They are not drawn from Greek mythology or Tolkien's legends. They are pure, original creations of this game's history. They represent the ultimate other. They are the thing that does not belong, the thing that breaks the rules. But they also represent us. They represent our fear of the unknown. They represent the isolation we feel when we think the world is against us. They represent the danger of letting our ego build walls that keep everyone else out. A beholder is what happens when you let fear win. But you did not let fear win. You stayed until the end. You faced the gaze, and you survived. So, take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. The anti-magic field is down. The magic of your world has returned. The lights are warm. The shadows are just shadows. There are no eyes watching you from the corners of the room. There is no hum beneath the floorboards. You are safe. Let your mind drift away from the damp tunnels. Let it float. Not with the tense levitation of a monster, but with the weightless ease of a pleasant dream. You have earned your rest, adventurer. The lore is recorded. The book is closed. The Underdark will always be there, waiting in the deep. But tonight, it is far, far away. Sleep well, and remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but so is death, so try not to stare too long. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the nightmare. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark, and if you wish to explore more of the secrets hidden in the archives of Dungeons and Dragons, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps the signal reach further into the void. Until next time, goodbye.